Good morning, my viewers, the parents, the teachers, and students as well. It's another Saturday for easy numbers. Now, last weekend, we were talking about numbers whose left is same and the right adds to 10. Suppose you had 92 times 98. What I said about these numbers is that they are so easy to multiply. When you check the tens digits being the same, while the ones digits are such numbers that add to 10, you can multiply all those numbers mentally. I said, multiply the left number by its next number. Now, since this is 9, multiply it by 10, which is the next number. And 9 times 10 would give us 90. And then on the right, I said, you just multiply as usual. 8 times 2 would give us 16. And that is your answer. Another example would be 83 multiplied by 87. You see, these are numbers whose left is the same, 8, 8, and the right adds to 10. 3 and 7 will make it 10. Just multiply the tens digit by its next number. Since the tens digit is 8 here, multiply 8 by 9 to get 72. That's the beginning of your answer. And then the ending of your answer, you just multiply as usual, 3 times 7, which would give us 21. Last example, if you have 76 to multiply by 74, when you look at these numbers here, then you see the left is the same, 7, 7, and the right are such numbers that add to 10. Simply multiply the tens digit, which is 7, by its next number, which is 8. So 7 times 8 would give you 56, and then 6 times 4 would give you 24. This is how you would deal with numbers whose left is the same and the right adds to 10. And there are so many of these numbers in mathematics, such that if you know just this one system, you will have made a very big hole in the tin of multiplication, and you will be multiplying like a great genius. Now, to expand our mathematics, now I told you that these numbers appear in 3 categories. There are plain numbers, which are these, and then there are numbers that end in zeros, and then there are numbers with decimals. All mathematics around the world will be giving you numbers in those 3 categories. Plain numbers, numbers that end in 0, and numbers that have decimals. So that when somebody gives you a bigger problem to solve, basing on the same composition, that 7,400 multiply this one by 7,600, and then you start wondering that this is a very large problem. What am I going to do? And to me, this is a mental problem. It's not anything hard. All you do about numbers ending in zeros is you set aside the zeros and deal only with plain numbers. So in which case, you will be dealing with 74 by 76. Those are the plain numbers in this problem. Just set aside the zeros and deal with these ones. When you get to 74 times 76, then you look at them and see that it's a composition whose left is same, the right adds to 10. Therefore, you have seen your bread and butter. Just multiply the 10th digit, which is 7, by its next number, which is 8. So you are saying 7 times 8 would give us 56, and then on the right, just multiply as usual, 4 times 6, which is 24. Once you get here, this is the answer for plain 74 times 76. But then you remember that the number was not 74 times 76. It was rather 7,400 times 7,600. So there were 4 zeros involved in that problem. And when you look at the 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, return them here on this plain number answer, the 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4. And therefore the answer to this huge problem can be seen to be 56,240,000. And this is a problem you can do mentally. And this is a problem that grade 3, grade 4 children are doing mentally once I have trained them. Because even God himself says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. You see, our textbooks in this country are so good. They have so good mathematics in it to make every child pass any exam, except that there is a missing link in those books. They do not have that section of computation. They do not have that section of the relationship between numbers to each other. They also do not talk about different compositions of numbers and how to compute them. That's how we are suffering. And this is why I have decided to go a little length into letting the students know this missing link so that they can become powerful mathematicians. Now, today's lesson is to expand on the same, but now turn them. You know, let me say what I mean. 74 times 76, a number like this, whose left is same and the right adds to 10, where you have seen your answer to be 5624, the same numbers can be reversed so that this 74 can become 47 and this 76 can become 67. And how would we call these numbers now? You see, this number here, I said, was left same, right adding to 10. However, when you flip it, then it becomes a completely different number, which is 47 times 67, and that number I now call numbers whose left add to 10 and the right is same. You see, this one, the left is same, the right adds to 10. But this one, the left adds to 10, the right is same. Two different problems at all. And there are so many again in mathematics, and there are problems you can see the answer mentally, only that there's no training on that in our textbooks. And I'm training you today so that you can see both sets. When this number is left same, the right adding to 10, this is how you do it. And when you flip it so that it is now left adding to 10 and right same, you can still compute mentally. So how do we compute numbers whose left adds to 10 and the right is same? Again, very easy. Just multiply the tens digits. 4 times 6, which is 24, and quickly add on the common 7. So you are saying 24 plus 7 is 31. And then on the right, you multiply as usual. 7 times 7 is 49. And so the answer of 47 times 67 can mentally be seen as 3149. So let's go with a little more numbers of that nature. So if the left is 2, then it must be 8 here. And if the right is 5, then this one must be 5. Now, in this example, although both numbers on both sides add to 10, I want you to ignore the right hand side with the 10 factor. Just know that the left adds to 10, but the right is same. That's what I'm teaching. So, if the right is same and the left adds to 10, you simply multiply the left numbers or the tens digits. 2 times 8 is 16. Quickly add on the common 5. So 16 plus 5 is 21. And that's the beginning of our answer. And then on the right, you multiply as usual 5 times 5, and which is 25. So the answer to this problem of 25 times 85 is 2125. Let us have a few more examples of this so that you can again see your answers mentally all the time. Left adding to 10, right same, or tens digits adding to 10 and the ones digits same. So suppose I'm taking 76 and I'm multiplying that by something like 36. So you can see that these are numbers whose left adds to 10 and the right is same. Whenever you meet such numbers, just multiply the left hand side or the tens digits. 7 times 3 is 21, and quickly add on the common 6 to get 27. And that's the beginning of your answer. The ending of your answer, you just multiply as usual 6 times 6, which is 36. And that's your answer. Now, supposing you have 54 on one side, and you are going to multiply this again by another 54. That is the same rule where the tens digits add to 10 while the ones digits are same. 5 and 5 would add to 10 while 4 and 4 are same. So in this case, just multiply the tens digits 5 times 5, which is 25, and quickly add on the common 4 to get 29. Once you have done that, multiply the ones digits as usual. 4 times 4 is 16. And the answer to 54 times 54 is 2916. You see, maths is just fun. Maths is joy. Maths is play. The only difficult thing about mathematics is the way it is taught. That they have put the cart before the horse. That instead of training us on the behavior of numbers and the relationship between one number and another, the composition of numbers, and then how to compute, that is to multiply, to divide, to subtract, and to add, they have only given us one key, the tables. But then they have not gone further to give us how we can make it easy. And therefore you'll find that grade 2 children who are not trained the way I'm training them cannot multiply this one. But grade 2 children who already know the basic tables can multiply these problems mentally if they are trained on the behavior of numbers. So let's take a few examples again. Now, numbers whose left adds to 10 and the right is same. In other words, numbers whose tens digits are same and the numbers whose tens digits add to 10 and the ones digits are same. Such numbers can be 91 multiplied by something like 11 for that matter, because these are numbers whose left adds to 10 and then whose right is same. So once you have such numbers, what do? We multiply the left numbers 9 times 1, which is 9, and quickly add on the common 1, and therefore it becomes a 10. And then we multiply this one by itself 1 times 1, which is 1. And always when it is one digit, you state it as 0, 1. So when we multiply this number, we find 1, 0, 0, 1. So numbers whose left adds to 10 and the right is same would be multiplied in that manner. So now let's look at another example. Another example would be 48 multiplied by 68. When you look at these numbers, they are numbers whose tens digits add to 10 and the ones digits are same. The rule: multiply the tens digits and quickly add on the common ones digit. That's the first part of the answer. And the last part of the answer, you just multiply the ones digits. Examples: 6 times 4 is 24. Quickly add on the common 8 to get 32. So that is the beginning of your answer, and the ending of your answer is 8 times 8, which is 64. So that in this way, you can then go ahead, using the 3 categories of numbers, multiply large numbers or very small numbers. This is what I mean. Yeah? If the salary of one person could be 4,600 and the firm is employing some 6,600 workers, how much are they paying for the salary? So somebody looks at this problem and thinks that it is so huge that a firm employs some 4,600 workers whose salary is 6,600 each. How much money does this company pay in terms of salary to the workers? So my advice is, always numbers ending in zeros, set aside the zeros and just remain with the plain number 46 times 66. And when you look at 46 times 66, you will then see that these are numbers whose left adds to 10 and the right is same. So once you see that, then you just multiply the left numbers 4 times 6, which is 24, and add on the common 6 to get 30 as the beginning of your answer. Then come and multiply the common 6, 6 times 6, which will give you 36 as the ending of your answer. At this point then, just know that this problem had zeros at the end. How many zeros were they? They were 4,600 had 2 and 6,600 had another 2. Total number of zeros in this problem are 4. Therefore, put 4 on this answer of 36. Put 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you sector this number, you will find that the company is paying 30,360,000 shillings in salaries for its workers. This is so beautiful. If you understand the arrangement of numbers and how they behave in multiplication, you will start enjoying your mathematics. You will be a genius to such an extent that some teachers will hate you. And you will find some teachers throwing books at you. Who taught you this? This is stupid. This is not the way we do it. But I'm telling you, don't worry. It is not what the people think about you that matters. It is what you think about yourself that is important. According to you, you are a genius. You can put that answer in one line. So it does not matter the names anybody may give to you. That's not important. So the solution is always the end product of the problem. Once you give the right solution, then you are the person that is demanded on the market. So I will do another example using numbers in decimals so that you see how easily you can then calculate that. The decimal numbers, let me take such an example that if one number is 0.052 and then the other number is also 5.2, and you are to multiply. Let us first of all look at the composition of these numbers. Ignore the decimals for the time being. Let us look at the plain number 52 and 52. These are numbers whose left adds to 10. 5 and 5 would make 10. And these are numbers whose right is same. So you ignore the decimals and deal only with plain number 52 times 52, where you multiply 5 times 5 to get 25 and quickly add on the common 2 and find 27 as the beginning of your answer. The ending of your answer is multiply the one's digits 2 times 2, which is 4. And as I've stated before, in this matter, when you find on the right hand side one digit only, always state it in 2-digit form. So you use 0 as your placeholder. So that is 4, 1 digit. You state it as 0, 4. So in other words, 52 times 52 is 2704. Now you come back and look at this problem here and find that it had decimals in them. And how many decimals were there? For 0.052, there were 3. And for 5.2, there were only 1 decimal. Total number of decimals were 4. Therefore, put 4 decimal places in 2704 to get your correct answer. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the decimal lies around here, and the answer to that problem is 0.2704. And you can see that I'm doing it in only one line, where an untrained fellow would have a lot of lines around here. And that is waste of ink, waste of paper. It's also waste of time, and more worse, it makes you look like a foolish person who has never been trained in mathematics. And at the end of the day, you will not be competitive when you meet other people who have this training. They look much smarter than you are, and in interviews, these ones with this system will always be taken while you are left. It doesn't matter whether you have the same papers or you don't. So the Vision 2030 is about students who will be very, very sharp. This is when you will be a good engineer, a good doctor, a good architecture, a good lawyer, and a good everything. Because numbers control the functions of the universe. There's no function in this universe that does not involve numbers. Even everything you see, the stones, the trees, the animals, and the people are all vibratory on certain octaves, and those octaves are measured in certain numbers. So numbers control the universe, and it's good that you know them. I'm only so happy to say that the Ministry of Education has dismissed the idea that we drop mathematics. Instead, they have embraced the idea of having mathematics only in different levels depending on the pathway you have taken. But those people who take STEM, the science and technology, will be a must be doing pure mathematics. So you want to be the man in the top cream careers of this country, then you also need to know the top cream subject that controls all this, and that's mathematics. So parents, I want to address you that let your child be a master of mathematics. That is, be a master of numbers. If he's going to be a biologist or a chemist, he has got to know how to mix those chemicals until they come to the right thing he's looking for. And it will all be numbers in the ratio of this and that. So, train them powerfully on this. And so parents might be asking where they find this kind of knowledge, since it's not in our regular textbooks. And my answer is so simple. I have taken the trouble to write this in my small book I call The Making of a Mathematics Genius. When you secure that book, and the child looks at that book for only 1 month, then that child is unstoppable. then you will see that the marks in mathematics for this child are starting to change. They are starting to rise up and up and up. It is a pity that some parents want to take the role of teachers, so that when you are teaching how to calculate this, and those parents are saying, but those are only numbers, those are only numbers. Yes, don't become a teacher. Let the teachers do their roles. You can never teach mathematics without teaching numbers. Never. It will never happen. Well, the CBC books have a lot of wording and pictures. But at the end of the day, the child has got to deal with the numbers. If you are talking about 10 oranges on a tree, and somebody is talking about 10 pigeons that the father is rearing, and somebody is talking about 10 meters that he has got to run, and the other one is talking about 10 girls in that classroom, it is numbers. The words are ideographs. They can be placed anywhere, but still numbers remain the same. So parents who are taking the role of teachers to criticize that these are only numbers, forget it. You have other things to do. Go and do what you know best. Leave the teachers do what is known best by them. Mathematics is numbers. You don't know numbers, you don't know mathematics. And there's no day you will ever do mathematics. Higher mathematics in higher learning institutions will have formula, complicated formula. But all the same, you have got to convert that complicated formula into the numbers that you know. And then the same formula will be directing which sign belongs. If a multiplication sign belongs here, it will be directing. If a division sign belongs here, it will be directing. So you've got to interpret that formula into numbers and signs and then work. So numbers, if you ask me, is what mathematics is all about. You can never teach mathematics without numbers. As we had an argument with some professors of mathematics that it's not only numbers, and I said, okay, I want to ask one simple question. If you can work this problem without numbers, I'll be very happy. And I gave something like this. What is 10,456,220 456,220 times 8,992,540? What is the answer to that? And my conditions are, don't use numbers, because mathematics is not numbers. May I have used words. Don't use numbers. And they were unable, because you have got to interpret these words into numbers for you to see what I am asking. So mathematics is numbers. If your student doesn't know numbers, he doesn't know mathematics. If your teacher is opposed to teaching numbers, he is not teaching mathematics. And if your parent does not accept a teacher to teach children numbers, then the parent is not accepting the child to learn mathematics. So good parents, good students, let's embrace numbers in mathematics. And there are just a few. There are only 10. They are the number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And those are the ones you use. recently, interestingly, I took a solar light gadget, and it had only 5 buttons on it, number 1 to number 5. And so I was asking the seller to me, look, this thing has only 5 numbers. How am I going to be able to key in the code once I've paid? And these codes are usually long enough. They are even 15 digits. How am I going to be able to key in? And then the young lady just laughed at me and said, yes, the codes are very long, 15 digits, but you will find that code may be saying 112 332 445 113 221. That certain numbers will be repeated several times, that the code will not contain a number that is beyond 9 or a number that is beyond 8. I looked foolish, a mathematician, and I cannot understand that. Yeah? Then I said, thank you, my little girl. So some numbers will be repeated on one button, and then you mix a few buttons and then repeat another number and so on. Because numbers are only 10. It doesn't matter how long the number may be, it will contain only 10 numbers. So, parents, let us have our children know our mathematics. The book that will train this that I'm giving you is called The Making of a Mathematics Genius. That book is not in bookshops. You just have to call me, and then I have to give you. And if that book is missing in the library of your child, then that child is lacking behind. That child will be so behind at higher levels of mathematics. When the others are seeing the answers mentally, he is still struggling counting on fingers. So eliminate that from your child's head. Remove that. Empower your child to be a genius in mathematics by getting him The Making of a Mathematics Genius. Now after that, I want to talk about the students in primary. I would recommend that you get the CBC Primary Mathematics Revision. It's very good for this child. Because when you know how to ride your old bicycle, you'll always ride your new bicycle. So what I mean is, the problems solved in this CBC Primary Mathematics Revision are the problems that are tested in previous exams, and examiners will always repeat the questions, altering just a bit here and there, but the concept remaining the same. So this child will never struggle once he has the CBC Primary Mathematics Revision in his head. And along with that, I want you to have the formula book, because I keep repeating here that there's no mathematics that will not demand for a formula in certain problems. And if you don't have the formula to a certain problem, it does not matter how clever you are, you cannot solve that problem. So you must have the formula. And that's why I recommend that, again, they have the formula books. And then, this thing they call the English grammar notes. Because mathematics is tested in the language of English, that child who doesn't know good grammar will not comprehend the question the way the examiner wants. So get to your child this English grammar notes is another book, so that the child is equipping himself with the language in which the subject is going to be tested, and at the same time the child is becoming supersonic on the normal mathematics. So I've given you 2 good books for primarians, 3 good books for primarians. When it comes to high school, there is this thing they call mathematics notes, and they are separate. Form 1 has its own notes, Form 2 has its own notes, Form 3 has its own notes, and Form 4 has its own notes. So parents, secure those notes at the level of your child. However, there are some schools that don't provide the notes at all. So for such schools, I advise you, the parent, to get a complete set of the mathematics notes from Form 1 to Form 4. Those are only 4 books. And then equip your child to face the exam. And as I said for primary, I say for high school, that mathematics formula is also important. There's a book that will provide the formula for those high school. And again, children have gone to high school without the mastery of the English language. Get them the English grammar notes so that they are well polished to be able to understand the questions. So once you do that, it is all systems go for your child. The child will pass, and that is what West FM and West TV are here for, to educate. We want more educated people in our counties and in our country. So for you to reach me, you call me on telephone number 0721 901 429. 0721 901 429. Then we'll tell you how you get your books, and then we'll also use the same number for school directors and school heads to invite me as the school opens to talk and motivate the children in this wonderful subject of mathematics. Until next weekend, it is bye-bye from Dr. Kundu.